Hey there, thank you for continuing supporting my videos and coming back to my channel. But you know what else needs your support? The Black Lives Matter movement. In the description below, you'll find links to donation pages, petition pages, and ways to support Black-owned businesses. Racism is still very much an issue, even if the topic is no longer trending. Thank you so much, and now back to your normal video. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, down to the last page. Now for today's video, I'm doing a top 5 series video, and it's actually been a while since I've done one of these videos. And the topic for today is top 5 feel-good books. These are the books that I put in this category because they just left me with such a warm, fuzzy feeling. So the first book on this list is 10 Reasons Not to Fall in Love by Linda Green. So a quick synopsis is that our main character, Jo Gilroy, who has sworn off love and sworn off men altogether after her last relationship left her heartbroken. She's even made a list. So she's made a list where she adheres to, and the certain things on this list includes things such as she's no longer trusting men, she doesn't have to shave her legs anymore, and of course one of the most important things is not taking risks of her son Alfie getting her again. Her ex, and what makes this whole thing more complicated is that her ex is also her boss at work. Not only is she juggling being a single parent, she also needs to keep the professionalism up at work. Now enter Dan Brady, who's a breath of fresh air into Jo's life. Dan gets Jo to rethink her whole entire list, and at the same time Jo helps Dan with his own form of healing, as he too has reasons for staying away from love. So my reason why I absolutely loved it was that both Jo and Dan come from similar experiences that allow them to gravitate towards one another. Dan is optimistic, he's full of life, he's full of energy, and this is exactly what Jo needs in her life right now. But behind his smile and enthusiasm lies a tragic past. One of the things that did it for me was the relationship that ends up developing between Jo and Dan. It was just so authentic, and how you get these two adults trying to navigate this new feeling with one another, and they both have a lot of baggage that they're carrying. Dan helps Jo bring down her walls, and obviously at the same time Jo helps Dan move on from his past. Such a realistic portrayal of two adults taking the steps to find love within each other again, and that's literally made my heart. It was just so wholesome, and at the end, such an enjoyable story to read. The next book on my list is Lucy in the Sky by Paige Toon. Now, the general synopsis of this follows Lucy, who's going back to Australia after 9 years to attend the wedding of her two best friends, Molly and Sam. Sam being the one-time love of Lucy. Now, she is happily moved on from that. She's settled in London with her boyfriend James. She's in a fantastic job. Of course, what could possibly go wrong? However, just before she boards the plane to Australia, she does receive a message on her phone from James's phone. That message ends up turning her world upside down. The reason why I love Lucy in the Sky is it reeks chaotic energy, such fun chaotic energy. There's so much craziness that's going on, especially the madness that she goes through during the duration of the flight once she gets over to Australia. But the drama did not stop there. There was unresolved feelings that she had with Sam. James was in hot water after a certain revelation, and there was an unexpected new love interest that was literally along the horizon. And this was all while she was in Australia. A whole can of worms was about to open once Lucy came back to London. There's all the ups and downs Lucy has to go through and the craziness. It was funny. It had all this fantastic chaotic energy, and Lucy had obviously had a lot to deal with in Australia, also a lot of stuff to deal with once she got back to London. It was just thoroughly enjoyable. So the next book on my list is Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Jill Mansell. Now, this story revolves around Dexter Yates, where his life takes a complete 180 when he's left in charge of his 8-month-old niece, Delphi, after the death of his sister. So he swaps the crazy busy life of London for the quiet life of the village of Brerewood. However, Brerewood is not as quiet as it seems, and on the flip side, we also meet Molly, who's one of the residents of Brerewood and also becomes one of Dexter's new neighbours. There's a definite attraction between the two, and as Dexter and obviously his niece Delphi get thrust into Molly's life, sparks start to fly between the pair. So the reason why I like this book is, again, it was such a fun and wholesome book. Get a chance to see all the trials and tribulations that Dexter has to go through, especially caring for his niece Delphi and at the same time grieving his sister. And on top of that, while dealing with all of this, he's clearly growing feelings for Molly. But on top of that, that's just one small part of the stories. There are so many things going on in the village. We get to meet such a huge cast of different characters, again, so many different secrets, and it's just so much fun. We get so involved with the other characters, and it's so nice when everything kind of all comes full circle towards the end. Again, it was such a wholesome and such a fun book to read. The next book on my list is The Year of Taking Chances by Lucy Diamond. Again, a quick synopsis of this book is that we meet three women, Gemma, Caitlin and Saffron, that have come from three different walks of life, and they all gather at Gemma and her husband's New Year's Eve party. We have Caitlin that's back in town to pack up her mum's house and trying to figure out what's next for her and trying to figure out her life going forward. And Saffron has her own secrets to contend with. But all three women meet on this New Year's Eve and obviously vow to make sure that the year ahead is the best one yet. And obviously, as the months go by, each woman is tested to their limit, not only with their work, with family, with love, and they have to all rethink their lives and obviously their choices and to see if they're up to the challenge to make a change. First and foremost, this was such a fantastic book. Not only did we get three females having to deal with three sort of different situations, all stories were interwoven throughout the book, but it was just so amazing getting to see the sacrifices they had to make, the sort of fight they had to take, and obviously all the different aspects of their life that was attacked one way or another, and also the strength it took to make those sort of changes. Each woman grew in their own way from where they started in the beginning of the book. It was such a fun book to read. It was so heartwarming and felt like very relatable, each part of the book and obviously each person. And overall, it was so interesting to see how certain changes to people's lives, or even certain choices, could change everything. And finally, the last book, and another one of my all-time favorite books that's on this list, is The Time of My Life by Cecilia Ahern. I do have a physical copy of this book. I did lend it out to my friend because once I finished reading this, I said to her, you have to read this. If I could describe it, it's perfection. But a quick synopsis of the book. So we meet Lucy. She busies herself with her mundane but normal reality, where she's in a job that she doesn't like. She spends time feeding her cat, spending time with her friends, and she's very devoted and involved with her family dramas. There's this envelope that keeps turning up at her house and she keeps avoiding it. This appointment when all of a sudden life in the form of a dreary man turns up on her doorstep, and life follows her everywhere. Figuratively and literally. He follows her to work, he follows her home, and it comes to a point where she has faced the choices that she had made. There's a lot of half-truths that Lucy has told, and she's put in a position where a lot of those half-truths will have to be revealed. This book was amazing, phenomenal. I feel like I appreciate it more now than when I first read it a few years ago, purely because there were so many things that Lucy was going through. She felt like she was stuck in a dead end. There's certain experience, I wouldn't call it a traumatic experience, but it was I think a bad experience she had in a relationship. It was almost as if you could tell she was lying to herself, almost sort of not wanting to face reality or face the truth. And I absolutely loved how Cecilia Ahern had literally put life in the form of a person, and as the story went on, his appearance started to look better. He was trying to help her get out of her boundaries and actually face the truth and face reality. And sometimes even as adults, we tend to sweep things under the carpet. We tend to not want to face certain things, and we try and live in this certain bubble. And that's what Lucy was. She was living in a certain bubble. She wasn't actually living or letting go of certain things. So I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. It had a lot of things I could definitely relate to, a lot of things I could definitely understand now that I'm older. And there were times when I felt bad for Lucy, but I could totally understand why life was putting her through her paces, again, to reveal certain truths. And sometimes, like they say, the truth does set you free. And that was it. Thank you so much. That was my top 5 feel-good books. Let me know down in the comments below if you have read any of these books, or what would you put as your top 5 feel-good books. If you did like this video, please do leave me a thumbs up, and if it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe. Also, come and say hello to me over on all my socials, linked down in the description below. I'm over on Twitter, Instagram, and I've got my own blog. And that's all for now. I'll see you all next time.